Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here for wearechange.org, and we're live on the backup channel because I want to go over some more of these documents. I'm seeing a ton of stuff now popping up in the YouTube feed that to me is just full of disinformation, just full of disinformation. And I'm also seeing our videos, although they've been dominating on the subject, because, hey, right behind me, you're seeing a piece, actually two, because if you look up in this corner right here, that's a separate part of the document that I cobbled together. Same PDF file, but you get the point. Now, there are a lot of redactions in these things. To me, so far, what is the most interesting? Well, it's the depositions and the transcripts of testimony. And not only that, but the fact that they were also videotaped. Each one of these things says they were videotaped. I want to correct myself a little bit. In some of the posts, for instance, that we had from the quote-unquote Dark Overlord here. And I think it's, important to tell people when you've been wrong. And so check this out. Let's go here. So first of all, no posts today. None. So we don't have anything new today. Apparently the $2 million ransom's still there. But they showed an analysis the other day, right? So when I was reading through this, and we showed you that, again, this is confidential SSI material. It is what they say it is. And here, during what I believe may or may not have been stuff from the Moussaoui trial, because they've released some of the Moussaoui documents, you see Mr. Podesta. Now, that is not John or Tony. That is actually a Roger Podesta, as far as I can tell. Now, I want to show you a little bit more of this document here, and we're going to go to the actual PDF file. This is the first really kind of interesting thing I've seen. They're trying to prove, basically, in a lot of these cases, that of course security measures were there. They're lying about the security measures. They're covering up their tracks, right? Of course they're taking the negligence or let it happen on purpose approach of this. But here's just a small document right here. And you can see that it's got a lot of redactions from the TSA. And I thought this part was really interesting. Right here it says, if the safety of the passengers or crew is not jeopardized, comply with hijacker demands after considering remaining landing at a major domestic airport, right? And then there's this other one where it says, if you want to take the action necessary to protect the safety of the flight, you can elect to terminate hijacking if that is a safer course. And you will be supported by various UAL departments and government agencies. Of course, we know that those things were in place. Now, again, we have some more blackout here when we're talking about transponder codes to communicate these hijackings. It doesn't tell you what communications to use right here. If we scroll down further, although Mayday and Squawk are available, there seems to be something else that is blacked out. Okay? So that's just to kind of start it off, okay? Now, obviously, there's still a lot more out there. There are duplicates in here. That's the next thing I wanted to go through. Now, some of these documents may or may not look nefarious to the naked eye, and they are not that nefarious. It just shows that they were doing their due diligence and continuing to get more and more information. For instance, when these lawyers are suing the airline companies for security, we're about to look at a profile of a woman that worked at, I believe it was Boston Logan International, okay? And I believe she's not an American citizen. She's a permanent resident. And if you look at the first document that they show you here, okay? Oh, and there's me. This is the wrong one right over here. So if you look at this first document, plenty blacked out, guys. We'll scroll a little bit slower for you, but you get my drift, okay? I mean, what are they showing you? They're showing you she worked there, some signatures, but for the most part, we're talking completely blacked out. All right? Now, if you come over here, I don't want to have this stuff up here for too long, but a lot of it's redacted, and obviously things have changed. But there you go. You have her Social Security card. Her number is redacted, but she has one. She's a permanent resident. She's out of Morocco, and less and less. You see how much is not redacted here? And actually, you can do a little bit of a comparison. I'll get up right in here so we can just look at it really quick. But yeah, let me take a look. So these compare, a lot of these pages are a little bit different because things were added or taken out. But as you can see, one has a lot more information than the other. It's the same profile. And they did this with every single employee there. So, it's very important to note that and realize, when you're looking at all these different security companies and airports, there's going to be a ton to come over. I mean, an absolute F-ton to come over. I need you guys' help badly. All these are people's employment applications, when they got there. A lot of eyewitnesses in here if you really want. Right behind me. I don't want to, again, blow this guy's spot up here, but you can see him on this side. This was from 96. Who knows if some of these people are around. Here we are at 2019. But the point is, this is going to be a huge tool for people that want to just talk to other eyewitnesses. Although a lot of their transcripts are going to be in here. So that's the next thing I kind of want to go over here. Aside from the web, one of the larger things that I think that people need to realize is that when you're looking at this, we're going to get to John O'Neill right now. We have the testimony of Michael Levy. Okay, there he is right there on the side. And through this, he talks about the hiring of John O'Neill. He talks about Kroll International. Kroll ran security for 49 days there. And I've already seen a lot of people parroting the very little mainstream talking points that are out there, which is really upsetting me, by the way. And what mainstream points am I talking about? Well, I'm seeing that, this is disproving the conspiracy theories because these documents are showing that people put claims in insurance-wise and they got less money. Well, just because they put a high claim in doesn't mean that they were actually worth that. And in the case of Silverstein, I'm not sure what his involvement was with all the properties in the World Trade Center prior to this 49-day period. Michael Levy works for Silverstein Properties. He's often talking in reference to buildings 1, 2, I believe 4, and 5. He held a different position in 7. That's revealed in this document, which is extremely odd. But he said they basically did the same thing. There's not a lot of talk of 7 here, but there is a lot of talk of Kroll. And one of the things, I'm going to search the word harshly, and then hopefully we'll be able to bring this right up. Oh, really? I could have swore I found that. But Kroll had written a report coming in saying that basically the Port Authority was not doing their job, that they were failing. And the head of, I think the head of all operations at the World Trade Center was a man named Wharton. Now, Silverstein himself, Larry Silverstein, and Wharton come up numerous times in this document. And let's see. They talk about the analysis that Kroll did. Okay, let's go with the main scene as people are hitting me up here. Right there. No, I'm sorry, guys. Right here. And by the way, guys, thank you so much for the support. We've gotten a lot of different subscribers over the past few days. Please remember, Super Chats help us. Grabbing a t-shirt helps us. Sharing our information. Telling people about the regular channel, We Are Change. Following us on Twitter. Getting the information out there. All of that helps us so much. And so, right here, while we're looking at this, who is Kroll? You know, Kroll is a consultant to a specialist in security. I want to get to that report because, let's see, when did you first retain Kroll, either jointly or independently with the Port Authority? Because again, Wharton asks them to amend. That's the word I want to look for. He wants them to amend their report. There we go. Let's see. Just so you know, you did receive it. Collection, amended. Might not be the first one we need. Amended. Amended notice. That's Roger Podesta that I was talking about. There it is right here. All right. And this is what I mean, guys. The scope of this is so huge. I'm sitting here rereading something I probably read 20, 30 minutes ago and found interesting. But there it is. Michael Levy, based upon the time they had to spend and the amount of information that was available to them, and he goes on to say that he asked them to reconsider the report, consider withdrawing it and amending it. Lisa, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. So take a look at that for a second. So Wharton, who's the head of all operations, has hired Kroll Securities. They've gone through with the Port Authority and the previous security, and they say there's a lot of problems here. Okay? And here's the lawyer asking the question because he felt it was unduly critical of the port's operations. And that's referring to Wharton. Here he is right here. Wharton, they're talking about the phrase. And who is referring to the amount? So let's see. Information that Kroll had. So he's saying Kroll doesn't really have enough information. They haven't enough time. Please amend this report. Of course, the report is destroyed and it's never seen. Now, of course, that's, everything was just destroyed. That's the next thing that he talks about. He talks about how his offices were destroyed. John O'Neill doesn't survive. I believe the previous head of security does not survive. That's also in here. They talk about conversations with Silverstein. These are important documents. People need to comb over these immediately. Immediately. And to show you that how thorough these things are, we just had that one there. That's Levy. So, again, a lot of these people that supposedly work security, they don't remember anything odd or, finding any weapons. Now, a lot of the security detail that I've seen that are defending themselves saying there's no evidence that these guys snuck weapons on planes. And there's talks that there was weapons waiting for them. That was actually discussed previously way back in the day. No one wants to talk about that because then you have accomplices. But just the fact that in this first rung of documents, we have a plethora of stuff on Silverstein Properties. We have Kroll. We have John O'Neill. Hulu made The Looming Tower. I think it was a 10-part series, a miniseries, about John O'Neill being this anti-terrorism, counterintelligence agent, worried about bin Laden taking the World Trade Center job because he believed that that would be the next place that they strike. And, less than 2 months into the gig, he's killed. He's killed by an attack that is blamed on bin Laden. Now, these documents, they need to go far and wide. Everybody's got to grab them. A lot of the Outlook files have a ton of things in them. So I'm going to leave you with what I would think that the mainstream media would kind of call a bombshell if they were covering it. They're not. They're not covering it. And not much of a bombshell to me, but this shows you how it works. Because who's going to pay off all these lawsuits? These undisclosed, NDA-signed lawsuits that we have no idea what the payouts are. We're going to find out what the payouts are. Well, take a look behind me, folks. Who's it going to be? Well, that's who it's going to be. It's going to be Sudan and Iran and Syria. And then 13,224 more designees for another $100 million. Mike R., thank you so much. Keep up the great work and thanks. I really do appreciate that super chat, brother. So again, take a look at this. What's this say? Who's paying for it? The Sudan. We've already, do you get it? They've already taken and seized Iranian, Syrian, and Sudanese assets along with 13,000 other plus in regards to 9/11. No trial, no proof. Iran had nothing to do with 9/11. Syria, believe me, if Syria had something to do with 9/11, we would have been in there before 2012 with Project Timber Sycamore so that we would get involved in the quagmire we're in now. Because we wanted it. Remember, axes of evil. People like Wesley Clark came out and said that Syria was one of the targets with Iran all the way back in 2002, 2003, I believe. So what's this all mean? Well, this is where it gets really ripe, okay? Okay, I'm going to save the best part of this document for last. Now everybody understands that a lot of these guys came out of Saudi Arabia. You know who gets exonerated by the court? Who's not going to have to pay into these lawsuits? Judge Casey's ruling on the motions to dismiss the following significant defendants: the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Prince Sultan, Prince Turkey, Prince Salman, Prince Naif, Prince Mohammed, the Saudi High Commission, and the Arab Bank. Okay? And then there's a bunch of other organizations as well. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The Sudanese, the Syrians, apparently 13,000 other plus entities that are undisclosed on the hook for $100 million for lawsuits regarding 9/11. And Saudi Arabia, who a lot of these guys were funneled through. Pakistan, another one. Pakistani intelligence was paying these guys. I don't see them on the list. Maybe they're part of the 13,000 plus, but we wouldn't know. But we sure know they exonerated Saudi Arabia. Good for them, huh? Way to get them out of there. And that's because the Saudi Arabians, they're really not the enemy. They aren't. These are covert operations. They're our allies. Israel's our ally in that region. Well, neither of them are on the list, except for being exonerated. Good for you, Saudi Arabia. So the mainstream media, first of all, should acknowledge that the document behind me actually exists. Let's start there, that these are real. That, this is getting the Islamic Relief Organization off the hook, the Rabia Trust, the Wali Jaladia, the National Commercial Bank, okay? So at the time, this is well over a decade old, they hadn't really ruled on Khalid bin Mahfouz and Sultan al-Rahaj and Yassin al-Qadi. Yassin al-Qadi. Now this is why, and guys, I'm reading that name for the first time. They hadn't ruled on Yassin al-Qadi. You know who Yassin Qadi is? Go watch my film, Fabled Enemies. When Robert Wright gets up before, this is a FBI whistleblower, and he's the one showing how the money moved through Qadi. That press conference was less than 6 months after 9/11. And here's a 2004, 2005 document letting you know we're not sure what we're going to do with them yet. Interesting. I think, which one? Yeah, Khalid bin Mahfouz is another one that may have been mentioned in Fabled Enemies. So, I'm going to leave you with this one, guys. This one's going to be a little bit shorter video than what I've been doing. And I really do appreciate everybody jumping on board, checking this out. Please spread the links. Look through the documents. One of the people I really want to see the testimony of is Michael Hess. Remember that name. Michael Hess. Michael Hess was Rudy Giuliani's right-hand man. He was the city corporation counsel at the time. And he was in the fabled Emergency Management Center, okay, in Building 7 when explosives went off and he was trapped there with Barry Jennings. He went on public television that day. It is also in my film, Fabled Enemies, free online. Please go check it out, guys. I'm begging you to go check that film out because so much of this information is going to coincide with that film as it gets dumped and as it goes along. And I pray it continues to get dumped. These hackers, they can't be trusted. They do seem crooked. They are greedy. They're not hacktivists. But this information is real. All right? He's in there with Barry Jennings. Barry Jennings died shortly after recanting what he said to us on camera about explosives in the building and being in there trapped while both World Trade Center buildings went down. Okay? So, Building 7, definitely interesting. But if you can find Michael Hess's testimony, that would be absolutely huge. And it might be in there. It may be in here somewhere. I haven't been able to go through all 650 plus documents. Let's keep pushing forward, guys. Let's make the media cover this because, as I've stated now, for over 15 years, I've been doing this semi-professionally and professionally since 2005, about 14 years. I've been saying for 15 years that we need a real investigation, that we need to look at the facts and not our emotions, that our entire foreign and domestic policy is based on the lies that were sold to us by the government about 9/11 and the media alike, because they're just, that mainstream media, they're just an extension arm. And we know you are. And now you're getting called out on it. Fake news galore. But at the same time, we have to have discernment and realize that this operation is probably not a white hat operation. It's not a Trump operation. I think these people are exactly what they say they are. They have their track record. You know, maybe they're being conveyed, but if that were the case, then these documents would already be out. If this was WikiLeaks in disguise, I'm seeing that as well, these documents would already be out. So we got to keep pushing forward. Or, hey, you know, encryption's tough out there, but they've given us all the files. They just happen to be encrypted. And, you know, it may be just a matter of time before that type of encryption is actually cracked. So there's a lot to look to, guys. Again, we got to have discernment. I haven't been sitting here yelling, this is it. This proves it all. That's not what this is. These are documents that are going to lead us to many of the perpetrators and many of the lies that we were told about 9/11 and continue to be told. So again, you know, just take a look at this document right here behind me. This is how it works. These lawsuits aren't paid by the guilty, by the people that are culpable. No, they're paid by the Sudanese, the Iranians, the Syrians, and 13,000 plus other designees, while the Saudi Arabians are dismissed and exonerated. And people that were named by FBI whistleblowers in 2001, 6 months, or it was probably, man, that must have been like in November, December, maybe 2 months after the attacks. People like Yassine Qadi, well, we're not sure what we're going to do with Yassine. There he is, old Yassine Qadi. All right, guys, I thank you so much. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Remember, we are only funded by you, so please consider becoming a member over on the main channel. Spread the word. Go check out our Facebook daily. I'd like to post a lot of news stories you don't see over there. You're never going to see them in your feed, even though we have 600,000 likes and yada, 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 because we are suppressed, and it is very difficult to get around the algorithm. So I thank you all for joining me. Please start combing through these documents. You see anything really interesting, hit me up at Jason Burmis on Twitter, and I will go take a look immediately. Thank you guys so much once again, and we will see you soon.